we will call the roll to determine the quorum is present. So, Ms. Nosvich, would you call the roll, please?
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Allen?
Here.
Miss Anglin?
Here.
Ms. Alexander?
Present.
Miss Alexandria? Mr. Coley?
Here.
Mr. Hancock?
Here.
Mr. Kelly?
Here.
Mr. Nair? Mr. Nair? Oh, he's raising his hand. Ms. Price?
Here.
Ms. Reness extends her regrets that she can't be with us today. Ms. Snetter?
Here.
Ms. Stiles?
Here.
Ms. Stokes?
Here.
Mr. Stone?
Here.
And Mr. Zmuda?
Here.
Ms. Alexandria?
She is trying to connect.
We don't have a quorum until Ms. Alexandria joins the call, and she is trying to connect to the call. And while we're waiting for Ms. Alexandria, Ms. P. Council could not join us today. However, Ms. Liz Myers is here representing the Office of the Attorney General. We also are expecting Mr. Bob Boynton as a guest today to receive his resolution for his board service. And we have Ms. Mimi Cronish as a guest today, PE from partner at RK&K, and that's regarding item 13. Ms. Alexandria?
Madam Chair, Madam Chair, my name is Robert Wellborn. I don't know if you copy. I've been joining the meeting today.
Get the name again.
Robert Wellborn.
Sir, did you plan to speak to your case today?
I'm sorry, ma'am. Try it again.
Did you plan to speak regarding your case today?
If possible, yes, please.
Okay, when we get to your case, sir, we'll call on you to address the board.
Yes, ma'am.
And Mr. Hayes, I see that you also joined the call. Is that your desire to speak to the board as well, sir?
I didn't have any plans to, unless necessary.
It's entirely up to you, sir. I just wanted to give you the option since I see you on the call.
Okay, thank you. No, I'm just listening in.
I'm sorry, sir. Did you say you did or did not want to?
I don't need to.
Okay.
I think it's necessary.
And I think Miss Alexandria just joined us.
Yes, I did. Sorry, I was having trouble connecting.
Thank you. Okay, Madam Chair, we do have a quorum.
Excuse me.
Right.
There's one more on the phone as well.
We do have a quorum right now, so we'll begin. We'll continue. So at this time, we'll go through the evacuation procedures. I'd like Ms. Nosvich to read out these procedures for evacuation, even though we're not there.
Well, staff that are participating from the office, we know what to do to get out of the building. We'll take our nearest stairwell and we'll meet in the parking lot. However, if there were for some reason would be an unscheduled, unplanned fire alarm, I would ask that you just all sit tight till we get back. Hopefully that won't happen, but better to be planned. So if something would happen that we would need to evacuate here at the office, if you would just sit tight until we returned. And I don't anticipate that happening, but just wanted to be prepared. Thank you.
This time we'll I'll ask Ms. Nussbach to go over the procedures for the virtual meeting.
Thank you. The law allowing for fully virtual meetings during the pandemic places special obligations to ensure we continue to promote meaningful public access and participation. The meeting is being recorded and the recording will be posted on our website. We ask you keep your video on, but it's not a requirement. It is a requirement for all board members to be able to hear each other's voices. Please mute when you are not speaking to reduce feedback, and it may be helpful to you to turn on your closed captioning as we proceed with the meeting. The meeting must be suspended for any broadcast interruption until public access is restored. All votes must be recorded in roll call fashion. We will do so alphabetically by last name, so please be ready when your name is called. Thank you.
Right, we'll move on to the approval of the agenda, which is the first order of business this morning. Is there a motion to adopt the agenda?
This is Chris Stone. I move we approve the agenda.
Is there a second?
Dan Stokes, I second.
Is there any discussion? None? See,
Okay,
there's
roll.
none. Ms. Nussbach, could you please give us a count of the vote?
Mr. Allen? Is raising his hand. Ms. Anglin?
Yes.
Ms. Alexander?
Yes.
Ms. Alexandria?
Yes.
Mr. Coley?
Yes.
Mr. Hancock?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Aye.
Mr. Nair?
Yes.
Ms. Price?
Yes.
Ms. Snetter?
Yes.
Ms. Stiles?
Yes.
Ms. Stokes?
Yes.
Mr. Stone?
Yes.
And Mr. Zmuda?
Yes.
That is a quorum, ma'am. The agenda is approved.
Agenda is approved. We move on to the approval of the minutes. Is there a motion to adopt the minutes?
So moved. This is Cameron Stiles.
There's
Jim
second?
Kelly, second.
Elvis, would you please give us a vote count?
If there's no discussion, certainly, ma'am.
Any discussion? Yeah.
Mr. Allen?
Yes.
Ms. Anglin?
Yes.
Ms. Alexander?
Yes.
Ms. Alexandria?
Yes.
Mr. Coley?
Yes.
Mr. Hancock?
Yes.
Mr. Kelly?
Aye.
Mr. Nair?
Yes.
Ms. Price?
Yes.
Ms. Snetter?
Yes.
Ms. Stiles?
Yes.
Ms. Stokes?
Yes.
Mr. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Zmuda?
Yes.
Thank you. It's unanimous, Madam Chair.
Motion is to approve the minutes. It's approved. It's approved. We'll move on to, is there any public comment today, Ms. Nussbach?
Nobody registered in advance for public comment. We do have Mr. Wellborn who joined today who will address us when we get to his case. And we also have Mr. Alley on the line who will address the board when we get to his case. Mr. Hayes is on the line, but indicated he did not wish to address the board.
Next on the agenda is a resolution for Robert Boynton. I don't know, is he here?
Yeah.
Is Bob here? Is Mr. Boynton here? Yes, I think I see him on the list.
I am here.
So, great, okay. I'll move ahead and read the resolution from the Commonwealth of Virginia Department of Professional and Occupational Regulations, Board of Architects, Professional Engineers, Land Surveyors, Certified Interior Designers, and Landscape Architects. Resolution for Robert A. Boynton. Whereas Robert A. Boynton did faithfully and diligently serve the Virginia Board of Architects, Professional Engineers, Land Surveyors, Certified Interior Designers, and Landscape Architects from 2012 to 2020. Whereas Robert A. Boynton did devote generously of his time, talent, and leadership to the board. Whereas Robert A. Boynton did endeavor at all times to render decisions with fairness and good judgment in the best interests of the citizens of the Commonwealth in these professions. And whereas Robert A. Boynton did devote generously of his time, talent, and leadership to the board. Whereas Robert A. Boynton did endeavor at all times to render decisions in fairness and good judgment in the best interests of the citizens of the Commonwealth and professions. And whereas the Virginia Board of Architects, Professional Engineers, Land Surveyors, Certified Designers, and Landscape Architects wishes to acknowledge its gratitude for devoted service of a person who is held in high esteem by the members of the board and citizens of the Commonwealth. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Virginia Board of Architects, Professional Engineers, Land Surveyors, Certified Interior Designers, and Landscape Architects this 10th day of March, 2021, that Robert A. Boynton be given all honors and respect due him for his outstanding service to the Commonwealth and its citizens. And be further resolved that this resolution be presented to him and made a part of the official minutes of the board, so that all may know of the high regard in which he is held by this board. Signed by Christine Snetter, Chairman of the Board, and Mary Bosbon, Secretary. So,
Thank you.
Yay.
Mr. Boynton, would you like to say a few words to the board?
I guess I just did serve the, say the word. It has been a great honor to have served this board for 19 years. And I think that we've done some good work together over that time. But basically, I just wanted to say thanks.
Well deserved, Bob.
We appreciate it. Great, we appreciate you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you for your mentorship too on the board.
You're welcome.
Board will now take up the cases of the day. Ms. Noswich, would you introduce the first case? And
Yes.
you will excuse Mr. Kelly from the meeting.
And Mr. Kelly, if you would just sit tight a minute, we're going to try something a little different than we did in December to hopefully make it run more smoothly. I'm going to put you in a breakout room. And so you'll be in a room by yourself. You'll get an invitation that says to join the breakout room, and you say, yes, you want to join. And then I'll bring you back when it's time. And that's how we're going to do this with everybody that has to be excused for a case.
No, I would be the first one you test this.
Yes. So bear with me while we move you to a breakout room, and you won't be able to hear anything. And then I'll send something to come back and get you. So when you get the message to join, please just join. And then when you get the message to come back out, you should be able to rejoin us. Okay.
Okay. I won't put my nose in the corner or anything, right?
Bear with me here.
As Kate does that, I'll just pipe in to say, you all were the first board to do a virtual meeting, so you were the guinea pigs on that. And we've since had the opportunity to do many more. And so we've learned a lot more, even with this platform that I think we all know had not been ideal. So thank you for your patience. And we have worked out, ironed out a lot of those wrinkles. And hopefully this breakout room situation will allow us to excuse those members in a more seamless way. So thank you.
Yeah, it would be me.
Mr. Kelly should be in the breakout room now.
I am not in a breakout room.
You are not in the breakout room. Hang on, please.
I guess we should call it a throwout room instead of a breakout room. Bye-bye.
Okay, Mr. Kelly is now in the breakout room.
Are you sure? Because I hit join and it didn't send me anywhere.
It should take a couple seconds.
Just give it a second to let us know if you're still there. If you hit join, you should be going.
I hit join. Oh, there's another join up.
There he goes.
He has left the, you should have a pop-up, he's left the meeting. So he is really gone now. So proceeding with the cases, the first case is file number 2021-00723, Mr. Eric Bishop Hayes. It's on page 12 of your three-part agenda you received with the recommendations on page 15. And it is before the board to accept or reject the recommendation for licensure for Mr. Hayes.
Ms. Krista and I vote to accept the recommendation for licensure for Mr. Hayes.
This has been, I second it.
Is there any discussion? Madam Chair, may I call the vote?
Yes, I just said, is there any discussion? We were saying it at the same time. Yes, is there any discussion? If there is none, Ms. Nosbush, will you please count the vote?
Mr. Allen. Mr. Allen, I think you're on mute. Got your hand raised. Ms. Anglin?
Aye.
Ms. Alexander?
Aye.
Ms. Alexandria?
Aye.
Mr. Coley?
Aye.
Mr. Hancock,
Aye.
Mr. Kelly is excused from the vote. Mr. Nair,
Aye.
Ms. Price, Ms.
Aye.
Seeger,
Aye.
Ms. Stiles,
Aye.
Ms. Stokes,
Aye.
Mr. Stone,
Aye.
Mr. Zmuda.
Aye.
Madam Chair, the vote is
The
unanimous.
motion is adopted. We'll move on to the next case. Ms. Nosovich, could you please, is there a motion concerning this case?
Madam Chair, this is file number 2021-00722, Mr. Robert D. Wellborn III. And I believe Mr. Wellborn wished to address the board. And Mr. Wellborn, I'm going to set my phone timer, and when I ask you if you would please state your name, and you can speak to your case for 5 minutes, sir. At that time, I'm going to ask you to stop. If you're in the middle of a statement, it'll be the chair's prerogative to allow you to continue. Are you ready, sir? Mr. Wellborn?
Hello, you here? Hello?
Hello, Mr. Wellborn?
I'm here. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, did you hear what I said, sir?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Yes, ma'am.
Are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Okay, sir, you can begin.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you to the members of the board. I reading Mr. Kelly. Well, I applied for a license to commodity from Maryland. I was reading Mr. Kelly's recommendation on page number 4 that the application will be denied solely based on my not having the education. I find that kind of disheartening that the board, well, Mr. Kelly rather, will base that information, base his decision solely on that, where I have fully demonstrated all my accomplishments. I had to set, before I could even sit for the test in the state of Maryland, I had to, I went on the education experience level, and I had to extensively demonstrate my level, and demonstrate it and actually record it as my experience. That was also verified before I could even sit to take the test. Excuse me. I obtained my District of Columbia professional license. I was the Prince George's County Chief Electrical Inspector, Prince George's County. I've also had numerous other registered professional engineers who endorses me, who has actually, putting their reputation on the line, that we've worked together on different projects, and know my experience level. Excuse me. I'm asking for reconsideration in this situation, as I do know several or few individuals who have education experience and the most incompetent engineers that I've met, in my days. So, I mean, I've fully demonstrated my ability and my knowledge of the electrical industry. In addition to holding an engineering license, holding a master's license, I was a former vice chair of the Maryland Board of Master Electricians. My 2-year term ended in February of last year. So this is definitely an industry that I'm passionate about. None of my licenses, whether it be it my professional engineering license or my master electrician license, have ever been disciplined, up for review, or any type of sanction whatsoever. And I'm just asking for the board's consideration on this.
Is that all, sir?
Yes, ma'am. I also too. I'm sorry. I want to add that I went on the commodity level, getting my license through the District of Columbia, as opposed to I did sit for the test and took the test in Maryland. And I just find it, that Virginia is not on board with its surrounding, neighboring states. I can see if I was trying to apply for such coming from the Midwest or far West California and didn't have this, but being that the neighboring states surrounding Virginia, it just seems to me that it was more in line, as well as I am registered with the NCES, and I met all their qualifications as well. Yes, ma'am, that is it.
Thank you, sir.
Is there a motion concerning this case? Ms. Noswich?
This is Chris Stone. I'll go ahead and make the motion so we can have discussion, but I'll move that we accept the recommendation that that Mr. Wellborn's application for reciprocity be denied.
Is there a second?
This is Joel Allen. I'll second.
Is there any discussion?
Yes. This is when I would like to discuss.
Go ahead.
Just out of curiosity, Kate, do we know how many years of total experience the applicant has?
I cannot tell you that.
May I interject?
Vignay, and looking at the NCSS paperwork that was attached to the application, I believe it's 18 years and several months.
That is correct. Yes, sir.
Got it.
And the way I read the recommendations in Virginia, because his degree is from a community college and we don't accept that in our regs, it has to be a 4-year ABET accredited degree. The only way I believe that he could get reciprocity is to have 20 years of experience.
Right. Right. I think that's correct, Chris. So my suggestion, sir, to the applicant would be to reapply in about a year and some months. And I believe the board will be happy to reconsider the application at that time.
I concur.
If I may ask a question, please.
It's up to the chair.
Is it Mr. Wilburn?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, it is.
Go ahead.
I understand you saying reapply within a year or so. Does that involve updating my NCES records as well?
Yes, sir. Or you have to provide evidence of 20 years of qualifying experience.
Very well. Very well. I can do that. Thanks. Yes, sir. I can do that. From the time that I'm in continue doing work now, working with a company now, and from 18 that I had the NCS records, yes, I can do the 20 years. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any more discussion?
None from me, Madam Chair.
Please.
Nope, none from my side.
Okay. If there is no more discussion, Ms.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes.
Can I get one clarification? Once I reapply, would it have to go through the same steps I did the first time, as far as hearing on the board, fact finding, et cetera?
Not necessarily, no.
Okay, very well. Thank you.
Are you ready for me to call the vote, Madam Chair?
Yes, no more discussion. Ms. Noswich, please.
And this is a vote to approve the recommendation. And Mr. Allen? Ms. Anglin?
Aye.
Ms. Alexander?
Aye.
Ms. Alexandria?
Aye.
Mr. Coley?
Aye.
Mr. Hancock?
Aye.
Mr. Nair?
Aye.
Ms. Price?
Yes.
Ms. Snetter?
Aye.
Ms. Stiles?
Aye.
Ms. Stokes?
Aye.
Mr. Stone?
Aye.
And Mr. Zmuda?
Aye.
Motion is
It's unanimous, Madam Chair.
Motion is adopted. We'll move on to the next case. Ms. Nosfish. Would you
Okay,
please?
Mr. Kelly remains out of the room. This is file number 2021-00515, Mr. Michael Curtis Sanchez, and this is in the second part of the three-part agenda, so it's on page 4 of the second part of the agenda with the recommendation on page 9.
I'll make a motion that we approve the recommendation that Mr. Sanchez's application be approved.
Second.
Is there a second?
Mel Price, second.
Is there any discussion? If there isn't any, Ms. Nosfish, please call the vote.
Mr. Allen.
Aye.
Ms. Anglin.
Aye.
Ms. Alexander.
Aye.
Ms. Alexandria.
Aye.
Mr. Coley.
Aye.
Mr. Hancock.
Aye.
Mr. Nair.
Yes.
Ms. Price.
Yes.
Ms. Snetter.
Yes.
Ms. Stiles.
Aye.
Ms. Stokes.
Aye.
Mr. Stone.
Aye.
And Mr. Znuda.
Aye.
It's unanimous, Madam Chair.
Motion is adopted. We will bring Mr. Kelly back into the meeting room at this time.
One moment, please. Mr. Kelly should be back in about 25 seconds. Mr. Kelly, are you back with us? Mr. Kelly? One moment, please.
Do you want me back, Kate?
We want you back, Mr. Kelly.
There you go.
Mr. Kelly has returned. Thank you.
Justice, could you go ahead with the next case, please?
Yes, ma'am. This is file number 2020-02880, Mr. Scott Howard Alley. And Mr. Alley is here to address the board. Mr. Alley, you will have 5 minutes to address the board. I will keep time, and when 5 minutes is up, if you're in the middle of thought, it's the chair's prerogative to allow you to continue. Are you ready, sir? Mr. Alley? And Mr. Alley was on the call, and he also called ahead. I know he does wish to address the board.
He appears to be on mute.
Mr. Alley, can you unmute?
Still on mute.
Yes, he's still on mute.
Mr. Alley, it's the button at the bottom.
You should have a microphone.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Okay.
Are you
I'm
ready,
sorry
sir?
about that. Yes, ma'am. I have a statement that I would like to present to the board. I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak today. Members of the board, the summary you have been presented lists the facts in my case. In no way do I dispute these facts. However, facts alone do not tell the whole truth. It is my intention to elaborate on some of these facts in order for you to know the truth of my circumstance. Following, I will reference items within the recommendation that require more details for your true understanding. To start, the statement that I, quote, downplayed the nature and seriousness, end quote, of my convictions has been misinterpreted. My words and tone may have sounded that way due to me going through this ordeal since it occurred. I know how serious this is. Thoughts of suicide ran through my head the day after it happened. I have constant daily remorse for the actions that I engaged in that night, and I don't know that that pain will ever leave me. The hurt I caused my daughter and my family can never be removed. The impact on my clients was detrimental. Those things being said, my family and friends have forgiven me. Clients still look forward to working with me. I get calls regularly asking me when I'll get back to work. I never denied what happened that night. I confessed to law enforcement when I was questioned about the incident, and I told them the whole story of what occurred. The period of probation of 20 years, as shown, follows the ultimate sentence length of the two admitted offenses. However, that should not be the actual duration. My probation officer, whom I met with monthly for 10 months, has now reduced my meetings to once every 3 months. I was told by her at my last meeting that she would be asking the Commonwealth's attorney for my release from probation somewhere around the end of the summer. Weekly group therapy sessions have been reduced to monthly. I've attended 2 monthly meetings thus far and should only need to attend 4 or 5 more, according to my probation officer and group therapist. Prior to my conviction, I was given a psychiatric evaluation which concluded that my likelihood of a recurring offense is less than 2%, and it was recommended that I complete 6 months of therapy. I have exceeded this recommendation with the programs I have completed and will complete in the near future. I have made some major mistakes. I don't deny that. Though my offenses are despicable in nature, they were not premeditated, and I'm not an evil person. I was judged by a court of law and have paid my debt to society. I was not deemed to be a violent predator, and there's nothing in my past to suggest it. I've been in the surveying profession for 35 years. It's all I know how to do. I look out for my clients and the public overall when practicing my craft. I'm relied upon because of my work ethic and my concern for each and every job I perform. My family, my friends, my clients and associates all want me to continue serving the community as I have in my business since 1996. I ask that you please grant me this opportunity and vote to reinstate my license. Thank you, and I look forward to your positive vote.
Is there any motion concerning this case?
Madam Chair, Jim Kelly, I move we accept the presiding officer's recommendation.
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Yes, this is Caroline Alexander. I'd like to offer discussion or open. I feel that this is a matter that was addressed by the criminal justice system and is not for us to address. I appreciate the thoroughness that was put forward, and I did read the case in detail extensively and reread it multiple times. I believe that the review relative to the impact of the profession is a key element, but I'm not sure that at this point I do not agree.
Discussion?
Madam Chair, this is Chris Stone. I know we've had several of these cases as long as I've been on the board, and I think that Ms. Alexander is correct in that this is not under the purview of the board. because it wasn't a violation that had anything to do with the profession of land surveying.
I think Miss Anglin also had her hand up.
Yes, I wanted to get clarification from Ms. Alexander. She said she does not agree. Is that to say that you do not agree with the recommendation?
That is correct. I do not believe we should deny the reinstatement.
Any other comment? I don't see a hand.
This is Vinay. Just a clarifying question, just so I understand. Is the applicant still serving the sentence, or he has served the sentence?
I have served the sentence, and I was released just about a year ago. I'm still under probation at this time, but my understanding is that I will be released from that within 6 months.
Madam Chair, I would like our legal counsel to weigh in on this. I have thoughts about if he has paid the debt to the society, as Ms. Alexander mentioned. That's a different topic, for at least in my mind, versus if he is still serving the sentence. So could we please table it and take it offline?
Our request now is to table what? I'm trying to understand.
So I do not know, based on what Mr. Ali just mentioned, if he's still serving the sentence or if he had finished it. So to me, there's a distinction if he has paid the debt to society versus if he's still continuing to pay the debt. And I would like to have a little bit of clarification before I can make a judgment on where I stand.
Mr. Nair, he served his sentence and he is still on probation at this time.
Yeah, Kate, I not being a lawyer, I don't understand what being on probation means.
If I may, Elizabeth Myers with the Attorney General's office. I am hesitant to give legal advice in an open meeting. Of course, that's advice that is subject to the attorney-client privilege. I can state in general that probation is a common sort of transition period after a sentence is served, simply to ensure that a formerly incarcerated individual is keeping up, for lack of a better term, his or her end of the bargain. So it is not part of an active sentence, but it is part of something that is ordered by a court, if that assists you in any way in your deliberation.
Thank you. Madam Chair, if I may, this is Mary Brothon. If it helps at all, sometimes the board offers probationary terms with an order, requiring reporting back to the board after, for a period of time.
Becky, did you have your hand up? Yes, please. Is that it?
Yes, thank you.
Are you done, Mary? Okay.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to direct that question to Ms. Myers. It's my understanding that probation is a sentence deferred, while parole is the end of a sentence and the completion of one's duty to fulfill that penance or debt to society. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. In general, violating terms of a probation is what would occur, and again, this is a very general description, what would occur is you would be issued what is called a show cause to be to return to the court and explain why you should not have any potential suspended active jail time that you were sentenced to reinstated as active time. It is not parole. It is not that you are simply released. You are still within the criminal justice system. Does that answer your question, Ms. McIntyre?
Yes, Ms. Myers, thank you. So is it appropriate at this time to make a counter motion? I'd like to move that we defer this until Mr. Alley has achieved parole and has completed his sentence.
There was a hand that was raised. Was that Mr. Kelly?
Yeah, that's correct. Thank you, Madam Chair. So I think as I read here that Mr. Alley was sentenced to 20 years with 18 suspended and he served his 2 years and now he's out on probation. So at the end of the probation, if as Mr. Alley states, he's released from probation at the end of the summer, does that mean that he's now out of the criminal justice system? Is that I know lawyers have a hard time answering these questions, so so what does it mean when he gets out of probation at the end of the summer, if that
Madam
happens?
Chair, and Mr. Smuda, I'm going to interrupt and then obviously if council wishes to answer the question anyway, and remind the board of the 9 criteria in 54.1-204.
Sure.
The length of time that's elapsed since the commission of a crime is a factor the board can consider, not so much this issue of whether or not the debt to society has been paid. So if the board wants to focus on one of the 9 criteria, one of which is the amount of time elapsed since the commission of the crime, that would be more appropriate.
So if I still have the floor, so can as Mr. Nair mentioned earlier, can we table this for a year and come back in a year to review this?
If I can ask, what's the value in that? We are not the criminal justice system. We are here to assess his ability to enact his professional duties. If we feel that is severely impacted, that's what needs to be discussed, not a timetable per se.
There is Madam Chair, if I may, there is a motion on the floor to accept the recommendation. The board can come up with another recommendation, but I believe we need to vote on this recommendation as there's a motion on the floor.
Okay,
but it's before the
there's a
board
hand
can
raised.
accept or reject, and if they reject, they can come up with another recommendation.
So can someone repeat the motion, please?
To accept the presiding officer's recommendation.
So
For
if
denial.
we vote no, what does that mean? We're rejecting the recommendation?
We're rejecting the recommendation to reinstate his license.
And if we vote no and reject the recommendation, does Mr. Alley get his license back? That's the question.
If I may.
Yeah,
if you
because that's
do not accept the recommendation, that doesn't necessarily mean that you reject it. Then there would need to be a motion to do something.
I think in the world of Roberts, that means that we'd be willing to take another motion after that.
Okay. Okay.
That's correct.
That motion could be pulled back though as well.
A substitute motion could be made.
So is the discussion on this motion done? If we are, we would like to vote on this motion and probably create a substitute motion if that's the case. I mean, if that's in agreement with the board. So Ms. Lovett, Could you take the vote on this motion?
And just for
To-
clarification, the board, you are voting on accepting the recommendation for denial is what you are voting on. Mr. Allen? Ms. Anglin?
I accept the recommendation for denial.
Ms. Alexander?
No.
Ms. Alexandria?
Aye.
Mr. Coley?
Nay.
Mr. Hancock?
Aye.
Mr. Kelly?
Aye.
Mr. Nair?
Aye.
Ms. Price?
Yes.
Ms. Snetter? I'm sorry, Ms. Snetter.
Aye.
Thank you. Ms. Stiles?
No.
Ms. Stokes?
No.
Mr. Stone?
No.
Mr. Zmuda?
Aye.
The motion passes. We have 9 ayes and 5 nays.
Motion is adopted. So, do we have another motion to this case?
It passed, Madam Chair. There
We
cannot be another
so
motion.
it's passed. So that means we have to say it's adopted.
Yes, ma'am.
Do I have any opportunity to speak now?
Madam Chair, that's your prerogative, but Mr. Ali's opportunity was at the beginning of the case. But that's your call, Madam Chair.
Yes, I'll give him the opportunity to speak to the board.
Members of the board, will anytime in the future, will I be able to reapply for this license?
Madam Chair, if I may, anybody can reapply at any time.
Basically, looking at the motion, I mean, what was placed in the case was that you need more time of probation, more than what is included in the case, which was 5 months. And so I'm assuming that you can apply any other time after for reconsideration.
Thank you.
We'll move to the next case, Ms. Nosbich.
Okay, we need to excuse Mr. Stone for this case. And so, Mr. Stone, we're
Yes.
going to be putting you in a breakout room when you get the message to join, if you would please do so. And just if the board will bear with me for a moment.
It's not bad once you get there, Chris.
Mr. Stone has left the meeting successfully.
Is there a motion concerning this case? I'm sorry, Kate. Did you have something else to say?
I wanted to announce the case that Mr. Stone left the room for.
Go ahead.
File number 2020-02781, Omar Kenyetta Hassan. And this is on part 3 of your agenda, page 4, with the recommendation on page 8.
Is there a motion to concerning this case?
Mr. Kelly has his hand up.
Madam Chair, I move we approve the presiding officer's recommendation of denial.
Second to the motion.
This is Cameron Stiles. I'll second.
Is there any discussion? If there's no discussion, I'll appreciate if Ms. Nosbush call the vote.
Certainly. Mr. Allen? Ms. Anglin?
Aye.
Ms. Alexander?
Aye.
Ms. Alexandria?
Aye.
Mr. Coley?
Aye.
Mr. Hancock?
Aye.
Mr. Kelly?
Aye.
Mr. Nair?
Aye.
Ms. Price?
Yes.
Ms. Snetter?
Aye.
Ms. Stiles?
Aye.
Ms. Stokes?
Aye.
Mr. Zmuda?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously, Mrs. Chair.
It's adopted. We will bring Mr. Stone back into the room and excuse Mr.
And we will need to bring Mr. Stone back, and then we're going to put Mr. Zmuda in the breakout room. So bear with us a few minutes. Okay, Mr. Stone is back, and Mr. Zmuda has successfully left to the breakout room. Shall I continue, Madam Chair?
Sure. Ms. Nosfish, please.
Okay, this is a disciplinary consent order before the board. This is file number 2019-01626, Hamid Moghadami Tirani. And this is on page 101 of the third part of your agenda, and the findings are on page 102.
This is Krista, and I move that we accept the consent order.
Motion? Is there a motion concerning this case?
Mr. Stone just made a motion, Madam Chair.
Seconded?
Second.
Is there a second?
I second.
Any discussion? Any discussion? If there is none, Ms. Nosfish, please call the vote.
Mr. Allen?
Aye.
Ms. Anglin?
Aye.
Ms. Alexander?
Aye.
Ms. Alexandria?
Aye.
Mr. Colley?
Aye.
Mr. Hancock?
Aye.
Mr. Kelly?
Aye.
Mr. Nair?
Yes.
Ms. Price?
Yes.
Ms. Snetter?
Aye.
Ms. Stiles?
Aye.
Ms. Stokes?
Aye.
Mr. Stone?
Aye.
The motion passes unanimously, Madam Chair.
Motion is adopted. We'll call Mr. Zmuda back into the meeting room and excuse Ms. Aglin for the following case.
Yes, ma'am. So bear with us a moment. Madam Chair, Mr. Smoot is back with us, and Ms. Anglin has been placed in the breakout room. Shall I
Go
continue?
ahead and explain the next case, please.
Thank you, ma'am. This is also a disciplinary consent order, file number 2020-02097, Johnny Davis Van. Begins on page 117 of your third part of your agenda, and the findings are on page 118.
This is Chris Stone. I'll make a motion.
Is there a motion to concern this case?
Yes, Madam Chair, this is Chris Stone. I'll make a motion that we accept the consent order.
Jim Kelly, second.
Then discussion.
I do have one question. On page 118, where it talks about 12 hours of continuing education that's required for land boundary surveying, it then goes on to say at least 4 hours of this requirement pertains to board rules and regulations. And I'm a little unclear. Is it 12 hours plus 4? I'm not really sure it's written correctly.
I believe it was supposed to be 4 of the 12 hours.
Okay.
Do we want to modify the word, the words to say that?
I just know if I received this, it would be unclear to me. And maybe that's just an administrative clarification.
Perhaps with the cover letter, we'll make clear we'll ask staff to make sure that that's crystal clear, because if you amend the consent order, we'll have to go back and renegotiate it.
Okay, if we could do it administratively, that's fine.
Yep.
Ms. Nosfish, could you please call the vote?
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Allen. Ms. Anglin. I'm sorry, she's excused. Ms. Alexander.
Approve.
Ms. Alexandria.
Aye.
Mr. Coley.
Aye.
Mr. Hancock.
Aye.
Mr. Kelly.
Aye.
Mr. Nair.
Aye.
Ms. Price.
Yes.
Ms. Snetter.
Yes.
Ms. Stiles.
Aye.
Ms. Stokes.
Aye.
Mr. Stone.
Aye.
Mr. Zmuda.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously, Madam Chair.
Motion is adopted. We'll bring Ms. Anglin back into the meeting.
One moment, please. Okay, Ms. Anglin is back.
The next, we will, excuse me. The next item of business is business agreements, item number 9 on the agenda.
There were no business agreements, Madam Chair.
We'll go ahead and, is there any C waiver request, which is the next item on the agenda?
There were no requests for waivers at this time.
Discussion of the plumbing exam option within NCES mechanical exam. Ms. Nosfish, will you please provide an update?
Yes, ma'am. You will recall we had Mr. Smith come to our September meeting from the American Society of Plumbing Engineers. They were looking for states to agree to have this the plumbing option under the mechanical engineer exam added. They were here in September. At our December meeting, we dealt strictly with cases. And I just wanted to let you know, since that time, there have been 10 states that have requested that it be looked into, and that is the requirement for NCEES to move forward. And NCES will want to know from this board, would we offer the exam with a plumbing component under the mechanical exam if it were to move forward. We offer every exam that NCES provides. So, but it is before the board. Would the board offer this exam if it comes to fruition?
Do we need a motion or do we just need consensus?
It could be by consensus, but I think for the record, because of the virtual meeting, it would be better to do roll call.
Okay, I don't see why we wouldn't offer the exam. I don't. So I would be in favor of offering it if it's a major.
It's an action item, so do we go ahead and vote on that and have you roll call, Ms. Nces?
Yes, ma'am. I need a second first.
I second.
Okay.
Ms. Stokes seconded.
Discussion, I guess we have made that, but any discussion again?
This is Caroline Alexander. Is there any administrative aspect to providing this exam or offering it?
No, ma'am. We offer all the NCES exams. Some are offered twice a year. Some are offered once a year. Most are already computer-based, and they are, getting to the point where they'll all be that way, and then they can be offered multiple times a year.
Thank you.
Roll call, ma'am, please.
So Kate, can you just remind me what my motion was?
That yes, the board would offer the exam should it come to fruition.
If available for NCES, sure. Okay,
Yes.
Thank you.
And so Mr. Kelly made the motion, Ms. Stokes seconded it. Ready for the roll?
Yes, please.
Mr. Allen?
Kate,
Aye.
I'm sorry.
Just
Go
a
ahead.
clarifying question. If I remember correctly, and I thought the question, when the plumbing issue came in front of the board back in September, I thought they were going to introduce that as a module in the PE exam. Are we now saying it's going to be a separate certification?
It
Can
will
you
be a
help?
module within the mechanical exam.
Got it. So it's not a separate certification. It's a module within the PE exam that
Yes,
is
sir.
administered by NCWS. Okay. Thank you.
Oh, if there isn't any other discussion.
So Mr. Allen had said yes. Ms. Anglin?
Aye.
Ms. Alexander?
Aye.
Ms. Alexandria?
Aye.
Mr. Coley?
Aye.
Mr. Hancock?
Aye.
Mr. Kelly?
Aye.
Mr. Nair?
Aye.
Ms. Price?
Yes.
Ms. Snetter? Ms. Stiles?
Aye.
Ms. Stokes?
Aye.
Mr. Stone?
Aye.
Mr. Zmuda?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously, Madam Chair.
Adopted. We go to the next item, 12 on the agenda, which instances of fraudulent use of the seal. This is a follow-up from the September meeting.
There was just a question asked of the board if we had had any fraudulent cases with the seal. And again, because we only discussed cases in December, I just wanted to circle back with the board. We had looked and there are no out and out fraudulent cases. There was a case a few years ago where an architect requested an architect seal, but electronically was given a PE seal with his architect number on it, and was inadvertently using that and didn't realize that he got the right physical seal, but not the right electronic seal. And that's the only case. So this was just informational, just based on follow-up from a question asked in September.
Next item, professional engineer section update. I believe we have to discuss the qualifying experience.
If I may, Madam Chair,
Yeah.
we have Miss Mimi Cornish on the line, and Mr. Stone had asked that Ms. Cornish be able to come and address the board about PE qualifying experience. You were set yesterday under separate email, just a copy of the PE experience requirements for easy reference for this discussion. And Mr. Stone, if you didn't have anything you wanted to add right now, if it pleases the chair, we could have Ms. Cornish address the board.
I think it's a great opportunity to have Ms. Cornish address the board.
Please.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, everyone, for giving me a few minutes today. I just wanted to bring to the attention of the board some challenges that my firm, I work for a transportation firm. We're actually based in Baltimore, Maryland, but we have about 200 folks in Virginia, many professional engineers, including myself. And I have about, I don't know, 50 plus that I oversee in Virginia. We do quite a bit of work for locality clients as well as the Virginia Department of Transportation. And we do a lot of water, wastewater work as well. And I'm really, I think, here representing our industry. We've been having some challenges recently with engineers applying for reciprocity, comedy, even to sit and take the PE exam in Virginia, and have been denied because the majority of their experience is construction management experience. And that is what they're putting on their application. You know, that's what is being accepted. You know, basically that's what they're presenting because that's their experience. And in our world with our clients, we are required to have a responsible charge engineer in charge of construction. So that is a PE required position for many of our public clients in Virginia. So as our new engineers gain experience in the field and they're coming up through the ranks and they get their PEs, and to be able to support our clients, our construction folks need to have PEs. So we've had a few situations where folks have received their PE licenses in other states, specifically Maryland and DC, surrounding states to Virginia. North Carolina is another example. And the construction experience that they have presented has not been an issue, and they've been able to become licensed in those states. And as of late, we've been having some challenges in Virginia, and I'm well aware of the regulations, and I understand why some of these applications have been denied because of the language that is in the regulations. But I just wanted to bring a few things to your attention and see if there's anything that we could be doing differently when we apply and we have these folks that have majority of construction experience, or to see if there's anything that we can do to make modifications to the regulations. And I know that that's a big challenge in itself. So there's just a couple things I want to point to in the regulations, if that's okay. And maybe before I do that, does anybody have any questions? Okay. In regulation section 18 VAC 10-20-240, there's a detailed matrix of the qualifying experience that is required to for each applicant for the Board of Professional Engineers and Engineering Training. And the top line is actually construction experience, and it notes qualifying construction experience and then non-qualifying experience. So for qualifying, it states a demonstrated use of engineering computation and problem-solving skills. That seems, makes sense. And then there's, the section of non-qualifying, which basically talks about supervision of construction or similar non-engineering tasks. That also makes sense. But there seems to be a bit of a conflict between the qualifying construction engineering experience, and then when you go into regulation section 18 VAC 10-20-160, which is the definitions. And under the definitions of qualifying engineering experience, the very last line says, and fundamental principles of engineering design. So that's where we see that word design, which is, I think, a conflict with demonstrated use of engineering computations and problem solving. And then we get to this definition. And within this definition, there's also references to construction as well. And then if you go over to Article 1 of the regulations, where there's additional definitions under the practice of engineering, which is what are folks who are applying for comedy and applying for obtaining their PE license in Virginia. They are performing the practice of engineering, and it's very specific in here that including responsible administration of construction contracts. And I think that's where our clients say, okay, you need to have a professional engineer because the regulations say that that's required to supervise construction projects, but yet the experience to be able to gain that knowledge doesn't qualify for obtaining a professional engineering license. So, I'm not looking for any answers today. I'm really looking for some guidance and advice for what next steps maybe we can take to be able to allow these folks who have 13 plus years of experience, every day to be able to obtain their reciprocity to be able to get licensed in Virginia. So there's my spiel. How did I do, Chris?
So, Madam Chair, if I may, I
Yes,
agree.
please.
It's a heavy lift to do anything about changing the regulations. I will say when I'm reviewing PE applications and I get one where the applicant's experience is almost all construction. Some of the red flags to me, it's just the way that they write their experience. Maybe, for example, they will say things like, I approved pay applications, or, I reviewed others' work and shop drawings, and it's all those kinds of things that are considered to be not qualifying. And so maybe what I might suggest is that, and I don't know if we can do this, and I'll ask Ms. Nospish if we can do this, and maybe we can redact them. Find a couple examples that have, in our mind, met the requirements for qualifying experience, and compare those with some that have not. And it might help in terms of these individuals. And again, it's how you write your experience. That's the only thing we have to go on.
Sure. And we can certainly do that. And if we need to have a separate PE section meeting to address that. In preparation for this topic, I went and looked at what our proposed regulations were that have been in place since 2017. And we did add design experience to the table. We did not change the construction experience qualifying or non-qualifying, except to remove the word mere, M-E-R-E, from the non-qualifying. So we did add a design experience, but other than that, it remained pretty much unchanged for the construction experience. But certainly we are able to do that and
Madam
provide
Chair.
inspection with that
And
information.
I understand, Chris, like, okay, approving pay apps, right? But there's a lot more to approving pay apps that I guess we need to explain. So you're, checking computations of, could be a concrete footer, right? And you're checking. There's a lot more than that goes into just checking pay apps. So it sounds like you want to see more details of the computations that these guys are doing every day in the field, that the actual engineering that they're performing every day in the field.
That's correct.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Cornish.
Madam Chair, can I just jump off from where Chris was going? And I appreciate the question, and it is a question that we have struggled with since I've been on the board, and maybe well before that. So we get applicants that say project schedules, pulling bill of materials, payouts, reviewing submittals, liaison with the customers, meetings. None of that is engineering skills. Now it's things that people employ engineers to do, and I understand that. And there's good engineering work it's not professional licensure track. Reviewing calcs is different than doing design than doing calcs, and so that I kind of struggle with those too. But for me, if someone says that they have done some engineering design work along with all the rest of that, I don't necessarily give full credit for the experience, but I guess the rule of thumb is kind of half-ish credit depending upon how much engineering they do. I struggle with someone with 4 years of experience, and then they tell us about the construction management aspects, and then do a little bit of engineering on the side. So it's you just need to, we're looking to make sure that they do that detail computation and design work is what we're looking for when we go for at least when I'm reviewing license applications. That's what I'm looking at.
And I'll give you an example. So one of the applications that I got, there was an individual who was on a job site where they were driving piles. Now, the mere fact that he was out there observing the pile driving operation and maybe doing the blow counts is really not qualifying engineering experience. But in that example that he gave, the piles were driven out of tolerance, and so he actually calculated the new center of gravity, redesigned the reinforcing, and then provided that to the engineer record for approval. That is engineering experience. Does that make sense?
Yes, it absolutely does.
Okay.
It absolutely does. And just one more. The reason why this has come to light in the past few years is, same language, same words on the applications in surrounding states. Folks are getting accepted. And I know that there's nothing you guys can do about that. You are meeting the regulations, and I appreciate that. I just want to let you guys know that we are not having this issue in other states with this same type of experience. So I have highly qualified engineers who are actually moving to places like North Carolina and Maryland. They're leaving Virginia because they can't progress their careers without this PE. And I think that's not a really good thing for our industry overall. So we will, I appreciate the advice, and I've told all my folks within our K&K that I need to read the applications before you guys submit them, right? Just to make sure that we're meeting the requirements before we even decide to submit. And I've, also shared it with my industry partners as well, but I just wanted to raise it to your attention that it is a big challenge, and folks in the industry are certainly speaking about it. So
thank you, Ms. Cornish.
Cornish, I appreciate that. I just want to make one comment with what Chris had mentioned. And I believe that during submittals, I'm not trying to find a solution because they'll go back and decide. But submittals are things that you actually have to go through when you're reviewing to actually know what you're reviewing. So one of my recommendations when this is solved is to request more information from the applicant instead of just denying it. So we'll move on to the next, which is B, the Virginia SSC's Utility and Railroad Safety Stakeholders Group update from Ms. Norsfish.
And Mr. Stone, I didn't know if you wanted to address the board. I'll be happy to start. The board might remember that Mr. Stone represented us at the SEC on a committee that was formed last year. There are proposed regulations that the SEC put forth, and they went out for public comment last month. And that is all the information I have right now. And this was regarding having a promulgating the regs that require a licensed professional engineer exercise responsible charge over engineering projects that involve gas pipeline facilities as defined in the federal regulations. So just wanted to update the board. I don't know, Mr. Stone, if there was anything you wanted to add at this time.
It was out for public comment, and the public comment period has ended. I do believe that the SEC will promulgate the regulations sometime, this spring. But I think it was a pretty successful. I'm glad they asked the board for our input, and I think that there was some great participation by some other professional engineers, not only myself, but I think it was a good collaboration between the engineering organizations and industry.
Move on to item 14, which is a land surveyor section update.
I had nothing at this time. I don't know if any of the land surveyors had anything.
I do not. I do not either.
Vicky's saying no also.
Next is the NCES update.
Just to let you know, I know I've been pushing out a lot of information regarding NCES, NCARB, CLARB, and CIDQ. We're not going to rehash all of that at this meeting. Just calling your attention to some of the bigger items. There will be elections. Our Southern Zone meeting for NCES is scheduled for April 15th from 10 to 1. There are contested elections. We have Tim Rickborn from South Carolina running for the Zone VP. We also have Andrew Zoutwell from North Carolina running for the Zone VP. And then we have two individuals running for the Assistant VP. That's Ivan Hoffman from Arkansas and Steve Hyde from Florida. Also, you received an email, I believe, March 8th, regarding the CBT testing in the fall. So we have, as NCES has been doing for the last several years, moving to computer-based testing in the fall, or the PE agricultural and biological exam, the PE electrical and computer exam, under PE electrical and computer, the electronics, controls, and communications exam, PE mining and mineral processing, PE civil, the PE control systems engineering, the metallurgical and materials. The control systems engineering. The last offering of paper pencil will be this October, and then beginning. I'm sorry, I'm reading this from the report. That's the last one for the paper pencil for the systems engineering. The last paper pencil for the metallurgical and materials will also be October. And there's been new specs added to nuclear, and the 16th PE structural exam has new design standards that take effect this October. So they are in the final stretch of getting their exams to computer-based testing. Also, they celebrated their centennial last year, 2020. They recognized their 100th anniversary of the founding of NCES, and they are going to be observing their 100th annual meeting this August. They have not decided yet if it will be in person or virtual. And if I can just continue down the list, Madam Chair.
Sure. Yes, that would be great.
Thank you.
16 through 18, yes.
The landscape architect section, I don't know if anybody has anything to add from the board. If not, I will move into the CLARB report.
I don't have any updates.
CLARB is still working on their Rethink Regulation initiative and working with any jurisdictions to improve the licensing process. You might recall last year we made an adjustment that they did not have to get approval before registering for the exam. We had a follow-up meeting with them this year, what they refer to as friction analysis meetings. They are looking at a uniform application that they hope to roll out in October of 2021. They will no longer be requiring references on this uniform application, and that is still a requirement for our board. So that'll be certainly one of the differences on this uniform application. Their regional meeting was February 11th. It was recorded. I did attend that meeting. Their annual meeting last year, like everything else that was canceled, was supposed to be at the Roosevelt Hotel in New York City. The Roosevelt Hotel, which is a historic landmark, did not survive COVID. They will not be reopening, and they could not get a property in New York. So they are now looking at an annual meeting in Arizona. They're still not clear if it's going to be virtual or in person. Next, the architect section. I don't know if any of the architects had any comments. I have a fairly lengthy report from NCARB. The regional summit was just last week, and I was very pleased to have so many board members on the call. Mel Price was our voting delegate. Tim Culley was on the call. Capacia Alexandria was on the call, and myself on Thursday. And then on Friday, all of us, in addition to Christine Snetter, were on the call. So Virginia was very well represented. We had a contested election that went to 3 votes, actually, before the tie was broken. They are still undecided if it's going to be a virtual or annual meeting, probably because of their contract with the hotel, a hybrid. So they will be announcing something in April for their June meeting, which is scheduled June 24th through 26th, the annual business meeting. And that's to be in California. There are 8 resolutions, and we did look at those as a zone. We have John Baker running for 2nd VP, Bayless Ward's running for 1st VP, Kathy Evans is running for the MBE director spot, Ed Marley is running for secretary, and Gary I is running again for public member. During the month of March, they are accepting applications for volunteer positions, and you would serve July 1 of 2021 through June 30 of 2022. So if you have interest in serving on a committee for NCARB, let me know if I can help you, or you can just contact them directly. They are going to be holding a special resolutions meeting May 12 through 14. They're incorporated, I believe, in Iowa, and there's something on the books that you have to vote in person live at the time. And so they're hoping to, with this special meeting, that was one of the resolutions, so that they can then hold the votes virtually. That is all from NCARB. Certified Interior Design section. If the board members don't have any comments, I'll go into the CIDQ report. There are leadership positions on the board of directors. There's a president-elect position, which is a 3-year term, and 2 director positions. I did clarify with CIDQ, you do need to be a certified interior designer to hold any of those positions that are available. They need completed applications by April 23rd. You've also received several videos from them. The last one was January 28th, which was on why do interior designers need building permits. And that was put on by CIDQ, the American Society of International Designers and International Interior Design Association. And I believe that takes us to item 23, Madam Chair. I think you're on mute, Madam Chair.
Ms. Noshvich, can I just make a comment about the architect section update?
Yes, sir.
There were about, I'm sure the architects know this, but there were about 9 or 10 architects in the Commonwealth of Virginia that were recently elevated to the Council of Fellows, which I think is, you know, a big accomplishment. We've had members on the board that have been fellows. I don't know if the architects do anything special for them or not. I'm assuming that they do, but I think it's certainly noteworthy.
Thank you.
Okay. Yes. We'll have the General Assembly update at this point.
Madam Chair, I believe that's assigned to me.
Yes, Mary, I had mentioned I was, yes, I'm sorry. I was muted.
The session this year was virtual, which was unusual, but fortuitous because that made it rather light. And so the agency was assigned no new programs, thankfully, nor were we deregulated any, but nevertheless. Of interest, I believe we had mentioned that administratively over the summer, the agency, as well as the Virginia Employment Commission, had been reassigned by the Administrative of Commerce and Trade, excuse me, to the Chief Workforce Development Officer. And the General Assembly passed legislation to create the Secretary of Labor from the Office of the Chief Workforce Development Officer. And so the new Secretary of Labor will have assigned to it DPOR as well as VEC and the Department of Labor and Industry, effective July 1st. So the only other of note that did not pass, and this would be categorized as a good thing that did not pass, was a bill that would have had the governor given the governor the right to overrule a board's decision to either deny or revoke a license. You know, obviously right now, applicants or licensees whose application or license was denied or revoked can appeal to circuit court, but not to the governor and directly. So that bill did not pass, and we, as well as the Department of Health Professions, hope to approach the patron during the interim to explain why that's not a great idea. And a board-specific or PE-specific bill that did not pass would have expanded the current exemption that allows on-site soil evaluators limited authority to design on-site soil sewage systems, but that bill was not taken up. So again, it was a very light session, which was very welcome from our perspective. And if you have any questions, of course, I'm happy to attempt to answer them.
Ms. Noshvich, we'll go into the BPR study, and I believe 24 through 28 are reports that you need, will be giving. So I'll just allow you the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is just an informational item, item 24. You might recall the JLARC study that was done a few years ago recommended that the board study 7 of its professions that were either licensed or certified. Among those 7 were certified interior designers and landscape architects. And so I just wanted to report to the board, since those are 2 of our 5 professions. The final report was filed December 17th. We had our board meeting, and that report was submitted to the General Assembly, and there were no bills put forth in the 2021 session that affected any of those 7 professions. And I believe I sent you all that in December, but if somebody wants to look at it again or would like me to send them a link, I'm happy to do that. But that's just informational. Moving right on to, there's no questions, the regulatory update. Just wanted to let folks know that our fee adjustment is at the Secretary's office. We filed that back in September. And also our regs have been in place since 2017, are also in final stage, and they are at the Secretary's office. Moving on, financial statements, that's just informational. Our licensed and certified population counts can be found on page 149, and again, that is just informational. Item 28, the financial disclosure statements. I just wanted to thank you all. We were in 100% compliance by the deadline, and I know Mary's nodding. We both appreciate that. You make me look good, and you make her look good, and that's, we appreciate your compliance. Moving on to other business, there are 2 items, and the first item, we received an email. We received a petition for rulemaking. We received it on Friday, March 5th, and we sent it to the board under separate cover on March 8th. And this is a petition for rulemaking regarding the number of days that an applicant has to submit their information. And Madam Chair, I believe you have information regarding that under item 29.
Yes, I understand that there are 2 items for the for this business petition rulemaking received by the board on March 5th and distributed to the board on March 8th of 2021. This is an action item, so now I would like to know whether there is a motion to direct staff to file the appropriate action for a 30-day public comment period and have the board consider the petition and any public comments at its June 22nd meeting.
Madam Chair, this is Krista, and I so move.
There's a second?
I second.
Okay. Is there any discussion?
I was just curious. I'm assuming that the staff agrees to this recommendation. Okay. Mary's nodding her head.
Okay. So, Ms. Nosbush, could you take a roll call?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Allen.
Aye.
Ms. Anglin?
Aye.
Ms. Alexander?
Aye.
Ms. Alexandria?
Aye.
Mr. Coley?
Aye.
Mr. Hancock?
Aye.
Mr. Kelly?
Aye.
Mr. Nair?
Aye.
Ms. Price?
Yes.
Ms. Snetter?
Aye.
Thank you. Ms. Stiles?
Aye.
Ms. Stokes?
Aye.
Mr. Stone?
Aye.
Mr. Zmuda?
Aye.
So the board will present any public comments at our June meeting then for consideration of the petition and public comments. Motion carries, Madam Chair.
Motion is adopted. The second item under this other business is Alliance for Responsible Professional Licensing webinar, valuing professional licensing. So Ms. Nosbush, could you, this is informational only, so could you update us on this?
Yes, ma'am. This is ARPL, ARPL, which is the acronym for the Alliance for Responsible Professional Licensing. I did send information to you all. They held a webinar, and they also put out a document dated February 8th. NCES, NCARB, NSPE, NASBA, CLARB, ASCE, AICPA, and American Society of Landscape Architects are the associations that make up ARPL. And this was just informational, but just wanted to make sure that you saw the information. And that is all I have under other business, Madam Chair.
Next item is
Ms. Nosbush? Sorry, Madam Chair. So one thing I'd like to make note of is Bonnie Davis back with us now?
She is.
Yes.
I was surprised to get emails from her, so I just like to welcome her back and
Yeah.
appreciate the good work that she has done for us in the past, and know that she'll do the same in the future.
And thank you. I am remiss because I should have mentioned that at the beginning of the meeting, but she's been here a month already and I feel like she never left. So very, very happy to have Bonnie back. Thank you.
Yep, I couldn't resist. I saw an email and I couldn't resist emailing her back and saying I was so happy to see that she's back with us.
I did the same thing.
Why the meeting is running so smoothly as opposed to when we did it the first time.
Oh, we're doing good. Okay, item 30, the conflict of interest forms will be sent to you via email. So I don't know whether you sent that out already, Kate.
Bonnie did send it.
Yeah. Okay, I need to check it out because I've got so many that come in. Well, we're down to the wire. Item 31 is adjournment. There being no other.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
There being no other business be brought before the board, I declare the meeting adjourned at this time.
All right.
So we don't need
everyone. Thank you.
Nice seeing all of you.
Bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
It was a pleasure.